Hello everyone, my name is Caden and welcome back to more Chaos Head Noah. Last time, earthquake. Yeah, an earthquake happened. Apparently there are at least at minimum 200 casualties. And not only was this a big earthquake, but for some reason the sky turned white and a bunch of people started foaming at the mouth. So, yeah. Um, very confusing what's going on. But yeah, I guess Takami's just going out. He's going to try to go to school to try and at least be next to other people because he doesn't want to be alone. Whew. Sorry. But yeah. Um, a lot's going on, basically. Anyways, once I was hit with the cold air of the outside world, my headache ever so slightly subsided. The city had a more restless atmosphere to it than usual, probably due to the earthquake from earlier. I didn't know that for sure, though. So, I still think that the earthquake and the flash of light, the reason why it happened, my guess, is because some sort of large reality shift, like delusion, just became reality. I think that some form of delusion, and that's like extremely major, just became a reality. But in order for it to become a reality, it caused a lot to change to the point where it was literally shaking Japan or Shibuya or whatever, causing an earthquake. That's what I'm assuming. Like there was some kind of large-scale delusion being brought into reality. Now I don't know if I'm right for certain, but that's just my best guess. And if I am right, then that leaves the big question of what just happened? What became a reality? Again, I could be completely wrong. That's just my best guess, though. There's also the things that Shogun said. Shogun was messaging Takumi in the group chat once he got all his stuff rearranged. And that's also another point that I'm wondering. Was that Shogun that was talking to Takumi, like, the same Shogun that we've been worrying about? My only reason for assuming so is because the Shogun that we talked to in the last episode, at the end of last episode, they were spelled Shougun. I think that's how I think it's Gun. But point is, it was spelled that way. When I'm almost positive that Shogun was normally spelled Shogun, there was an extra U added for the Shogun. I might just not be remembering it right, but here, let me see. If I look back... Oh, never mind. Backlog is not helping me at all. Never mind. But I just wonder if it's a different Shogun. And they said they also had a gift, and Rimi hasn't responded to us, so... In the distance, the sound of sirens continued to echo endlessly, but I wasn't sure if they were from ambulances or fire trucks. Could have been both. I guess another thing to mention is that all these oddities happened as soon as we picked up the phone and let that no, and let that phone ring out. Yamate Dori, which was 1 block away from me, was completely jammed up. Traffic was bumper to bumper. There were multiple visible accidents, most head-on, and the cars involved had simply been left abandoned on the road, their drivers nowhere to be found. Those abandoned cars were the cause of the traffic jam. The other drivers were honking their horns like crazy. As I was wandering the streets to get to school, I saw a dog crossing the road, barking. It was a chihuahua sprinting at full speed, dragging its leash behind its small body. Its eyes were bloodshot, and a large amount of drool was dripping from its open mouth. It had probably gotten separated from its owner. As I absentmindedly watched it get farther and farther away, I tripped on something and nearly fell over. The asphalt was cracked, and one section of the road was ever so slightly lower than the rest. It had most likely come from the earthquake. There's also the fact that the earthquake is doing a lot more damage than it should have. They mentioned before that this was magnitude 5 earthquake? And while And while I don't know anything about earthquake magnitudes, but I could have sworn they mentioned that magnitude 5 earthquakes are generally not the, like, I mean, they can be bad, obviously, but it shouldn't be causing as much damage as this one did. They mentioned before that another magnitude 5 earthquake happened in the past, and that only caused 8 casualties. This one has already been confirmed to have killed at least 200 people, and that number might still rise. Not to mention all the damage it's doing to all the infrastructure of things and all that. The ground being, like, separate level on the road? Cracks in the buildings and everything? This feels like a lot more damage. Like, I don't know. This feels like a lot more damage than should be happening, considering the fact they made it sound like... They're making it sound like earthquake... Like, magnitude 5 earthquakes shouldn't be this devastating. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not smart about earthquakes, because I've never actually experienced one. Stepping right there, I looked up at the sky. There were a few white clouds drifting calmly across the dull light blue. Just after the earthquake hit, something similar to an aurora had formed in the sky and tainted it pure white, but the traces of it had already disappeared. This isn't right. This isn't Shibuya. I couldn't calm down in the slightest. Not just because of the earthquake, and not just because of the headache either. It wasn't just those, but a certain urge was threatening to overtake me. For some reason, walking around like this, it made me feel like I wanted to kill someone. What? Oh no, I'm starting to worry that the other thing I mentioned before might be happening. We know that the GE rate can affect people, like the gravitational stuff, and that something like an earthquake could probably cause the GE rate to increase. And yet an earthquake just happened. Are people going to start going more insane? Are new gen incidents going to start becoming way more frequent because of that? That's what I'm worried is going to happen. I think psychosis is basically going to break out across all of Shibuya at this rate. By the time I got to the school gates, the anxiety and sense of dread I'd been feeling were increasing by the second. I had the chills. My body wouldn't stop shivering, and my headache was coming back. When I looked closely, I noticed a group of students formed around the third-year building. I looked for Rimi within them. For some odd reason, everyone was looking toward the top of the building, and even those who weren't soon followed suit, almost like a bunch of lemmings. What's wrong with the third building? Oh, hey! Oh, Taku! Misumi. I'm strangely glad to see you. Misumi-kun rushed over to me. I should ask him where Rimi was. Look who decided to come to school today. Actually, I'll save the pissing you off for later. He looked gravely serious, and his face was pale. Seeing Misumi-kun like this was very unusual. What the hell was going on? Things are bad right now, man. Real bad. Things are bad? What did that mean? What was bad? What happened? She was sick, right? People probably found out she was sick in the head, and it made her crazier. She was saying earlier that she could fly. It's gonna be gnarly, real gnarly. I know I shouldn't, but I really want to see someone die. Excuse you? It's gonna be crazy gory. He'll be awesome. Or even... Oh, that wasn't Misumi-kun. I was about to say, what the... Okay, I was about to say, like, is this Misumi saying everything? I can hear things like that coming from everywhere around me. There's someone about to jump, isn't there? I might have to blur this. I'm gonna be real with you. Don't tell me. I had a bad feeling about this. Briefly following the gazes of the art students, I looked up at the school building. Don't like it. The second I see a jump, I am blacking out the video for a little bit. Okay? On the edge of the rooftop stood a single girl. In her hand, just like during the concert, was a D-sword, with a pose emblematic of praying to the god in the heavens above. On the edge of the roof stood Kishimoto Ayase. Please don't. Don't do this. Oh.
写真の影に潜む
This is a lot to talk about. Is she seeing something completely different from everybody else? Because when the way that the screen transition mean that we probably swap to another person's perspective, which is likely Ayase's, obviously. But if that's the case, why is the sky a blood red? Why is the sky evil? Why is she crying? The shadow of the wicked heart lurks within that body,
目には映ら
a
ない
presence
存在
which the eye cannot perceive. Kishimoto Ayase felt the wind blowing. The cold wind brought with it a faint hint of winter. Her expression inundated with pain. Huge drops of sweat formed on her face as she faced the chilled gales.
離れようとも
Even if I try to split asunder,
離れようとも
even if I try to split asunder,
冷めぬ悪夢
perpetual nightmares alas take shape. The Suimei Academy rooftop was enclosed by a 2-meter-high wire fence. Ayase was standing on the other side of it, occupying a space of only around 30 centimeters. 10 minutes had passed since she had first started standing there. One more step and she would fall from the roof of the 4-story school building. Many students were gathered below Ayase, watching her with bated breath.
やがて
And eventually,
剣となりて
become a sword.
この身を
One that will tear this body
切り裂くのだ
apart. Although the police and emergency services had already been contacted, they had yet to arrive, likely due to the earthquake that had only hit a few hours prior. The teachers were running around in a panic, scrambling to get gym mats ready in the case of the worst possible outcome.
無関心という名
Should
の
they
盾
bear
で
the shield of apathy,
戦火を免れ
ye
て
souls
人
shall
々
escape the flames of war. And yet Ayase stood completely still, unperturbed by the ruckus below. Or rather, she had deliberately cut herself off from the rest of the world that lay beneath her. As she gazed up to the sky, Ayase closed her eyes, her pose emulative of that of a maiden praying to the heavens. Due to her good sense of balance, the wind did not manage to sway her slender body, a fact made all the more impressive by her grasping a sword as long as she was tall.
神聖なる
On a
戦場の
battlefield
敵は
reborn,
心の内に
come foes with malice in their hearts, ill will without compare. The sword, her D-sword, was blinking with a pale blue light. As it synchronized with it, Ayase's labored breathing continued. And then she began to murmur once more.
悪意は
When the time comes, malice shall possess its own will,
意志を持ちそして
and thus
その
reveal
姿を
its true form.
出す
The verses she unfolded through her murmurs soon vanished into the wind. Ayase opened her eyes and gazed at the crimson sky spreading over the buildings of Shibuya.
この世界は
This world is
悪意
laden
の
with
妄想
malicious
に満ち溢れ
delusions.
ているみんな他人の
Everyone thrills from the misery of others.
目を閉じて
Try as I might to close my eyes, to cover my ears. It is futile.
昔からずっと
For ever so long now,
私のそ
they
ばを
have
離れ
never
てく
left
れ
me.
ないわ
As she breathed the soliloquy into the air, Ayase pulled her gigantic sword to her chest and gently embraced it with both arms. Curiously, the sharp sword did not leave a single injury on her.
帰りたかった
I want to return
大いなる意志に住
to
む
the other world,
もう一つ
where
の
the
世
greater
界
will
に
resides.
そのために
And to accomplish that
心を
feat,
切り
I
刻ん
hewed
で
my heart, accepting it
全
all
部受け入
within,
れたわ混沌の器
dreaming
と
to
して
be the vessel of
夢を
chaos. Ayase's face twisted in sorrow. Tears quietly spilled from her eyes. Droplets flowing voicelessly were all swiftly carried away by the wind.
だけど
However,
グラジオールの
Gladiol
帯同が
quickens increasingly
活
so.
化している
There's that name again, Gladiol. The Wicked King, I think they called it.
もう
There's no longer
時
any
間
time
がないのに
left.
見つからない
I cannot find them.
見つ
I
から
cannot
ない
find
の
them
よ
anywhere.
天国の扉
Not
も
Heaven's Gate, nor the wise, nor the guide, nor the 7 divine punishments.
7つの黒騎士の伝説
Are the Black Knights even real?
本当なの歌はもう
I've
た
already
くさん
recited
歌っ
an
たわ
unending number of verses.
それで足りないって
If that was
言うなら
insufficient for you,
ね
Oh, great Orwell.
大いなる意志よ。
Ayase spread her arms out far and wide, as if in trying to embrace the sky itself, as if trying to show her presence to God on high.
私は
Then I shall
飛
fly.
ぶわ。
The pale blue pulsation of her sword intensified. Ayase closed her eyes once more, and in that moment, a final tear dropped from the corner of her eye.
お願い
I beg of you, O greater will,
差し
take
出
this
すか
vessel as an offering.
ら魂を
Take my soul
連
away
れ
with
て
you.
行って。
And then, without a moment's hesitation, the girl, with nothing there to support her, took a step forward.
帰るべき場所へ
The place I must return. She felt the cold caressing her cheek. Her gaze fell to the earth. What? Looming closer as she fell was a door, a gate, and on the other side of it was the sky Ayase desired. Okay, as long as it doesn't show, like, tremendous amounts of, oh god. I couldn't do anything but watch it unfold. What's going on? After Ayase spread her arms out, she slowly stepped into the thin air, as if taking a step down on a non-existent staircase. Screams began to build among the spectators, coalescing into one gigantic roar. With nothing left to support her, Ayase, like a puppet whose strings have been cut, fell head first toward the ground. Everything appeared to be in slow motion. Ayase's body was going to crash to the ground. Her descent was incredibly slow. But she was definitely falling. She was gonna die. Ayase was gonna die. I couldn't do anything to stop it. I couldn't save someone falling from that high. And there was nothing but concrete below her. It would crush all her bones, rupture all her organs, and make her dark blood and gray matter spurt out all over the ground. If only there was a flower bed or something. If only there was something soft below her. If there was, maybe it could save her. I didn't want to see someone die. As I went to close my eyes, for an ephemeral moment, I felt chills on the nape of my neck. I looked behind me, but not a soul was standing there. Everyone was either looking down, averting their eyes, or looking up at her. Whose eyes are those eyes? Oh no. Oh no. A sound shook the air. The sound of a person crashing down. It was the first time I'd ever heard that sound. But it had a lot less impact than I was expecting. What the? Next to me stood Misumi-kun, his eyes wide as dinner plates. I expected his gaze to be tainted by dread, but the way he stared at the place Ayase had fallen was one of surprise, not horror. And it wasn't just Misumi-kun that was like that. All the spectators looked like they had no idea what was going on. They were all lost for words. She's alive! Huh? She's alive? How? A flower bed? But there should have just been concrete below her. It happened, didn't it? The thing... We just made a delusion real, didn't we? Ayase wasn't getting up. I couldn't tell if her bones were crushed. I couldn't tell if her organs had ruptured. But her gray matter hadn't spread everywhere. Nor had her dark blood. A small, feeble groan escaped from Ayase's mouth. She was alive. She seemed to be unconscious, and she wasn't moving. But she was alive. She was barely even injured. There was only a small drop of blood on her forehead. She had fallen from the rooftop. But there she was, lying there almost completely unharmed, lying atop a flower bed. A flower bed? There should have just been concrete. But did we just delude a flower bed into existence? Was there always a flower bed there? Did we just save her by deluding it into reality? Uh-oh. Oh boy.
It
appears there was quite a discrepancy between what we had envisioned and the actual results.
I assure you, it was merely the first step toward evolution.
You neglected to inform us that the number of fatalities would exceed 100.
Was the plan flawed from the offset? No, sir. I would like the two of you to reflect upon the evolutionary process of mankind. I can acknowledge that evolution requires sacrifice.
Deaths bear no importance to me. The critical issue is how did it diverge from our plans.
It has always been within expectations, on the basis of my internal predictions, that is.
Why didn't you inform us beforehand? In order to control information, preliminary arrangements are required. We're not sacrificing important resources, people, and money to feed your eccentricity. Remember that, I can't speak.
Rest assured, as I previously stated, everything is within expectations. Before long, there will be no need to endure the hardship of gathering votes for elections, nor will there be risks of prosecution for extorted political canvassing. The day we will transform Japan. No, the entire globe is drawing near.
Be discreet, for if the Committee of 300 discovers a mutiny against them,
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hang on, that sounds familiar. Committee of 300? Was this not in... I think this was in Steins Gate. I think this was mentioned in Steins Gate at some point, wasn't it? A secret organization shrouded in mystery, rumored to manipulate the world from behind the scenes. Composed of only 300 members, they are known as the Unseen Rulers. Their subordinates include the royalty of numerous nations, intelligence agencies, and large enterprises, with a focus on banking. They are all mere puppets of the 300, as are any other secret societies that often appear in conspiracy theories. It is said that almost the entire world is bent to their will, whether it be companies, police, research institutes, etc. However, their existence is only a rumor. Committee of 300's ultimate goal is theorized to be the construction of the so-called New World Order under the Worldwide Human Domestication Project. Outside the few elite, 1 billion humans will be left behind while all others are slaughtered. Those billion that survive will remain as slaves subject to the ruler's administration. Yeah, this was literally the thing that was... this was kind of like the whole point. One of the huge, like plot points in Steins Gate, I'm pretty sure. In the future, only 1 billion people would survive. Lolly, Flamemore, and Circe. Your duty is to act in accordance with the plan. Nothing more, nothing less.
We'll be the ones performing adjustments.
I'm well aware of this. No matter, let's hear your report regarding the second generation. Very well. You gentlemen will be pleased to hear the final results. Noah 2 is... Noah 2? I'm sorry, Noah 2? I mean, I'm glad Ayase's alive, but... I bolted away from the school as fast as I could, and I ran all the way to the park. Only when I felt like I was about to suffocate did I stop. My lungs were in dire need of oxygen. As I gasped for breath, I took a quick look around the park. There was no one around. There was no one there to see I was afraid. I was afraid of. Neither Shogun nor Yua were anywhere to be seen. Relieved, I tried to catch my breath. It was almost evening. The sky's blue was slowly turning orange with the twilight. Compared to the insanity at school that had felt so unreal, this park was completely quiet, just as it always has. The incident from before had ended as a failed suicide attempt. Ayase had then been taken away on an ambulance. I had no way of knowing what happened after that. After going through all that, I gave up on searching for Rimi and came here to the park instead. The scene from only a few minutes ago was engraved into my mind. Back then, when Ayase's body came crashing down, I'd been convinced that nothing could have saved her. But she had been saved. I didn't know how exactly, but I at least knew she wasn't dead. She'd been breathing, virtually unharmed, too. Under normal circumstances, she would have absolutely died. The thing that saved her was a total miracle. She'd fallen on top of the tender soil of a flower bed. But was that there? Something that was physically impossible. It was physically impossible for Ayase to have fallen on top of a flower bed. Because there hadn't been a flower bed there. Just before Ayase had fallen, the place where she was going to fall had nothing but the gray asphalt of a parking lot. A number of the Suimei teachers parked there. So, how had a flower bed just appeared there? Had I done that? It was true that at the time I'd been so frightened that I had an illusion about how a flower bed appearing below her could save her. But even then, was it really possible? Was it really possible that the delusion had become reality? Okay, let's consider it. First, I had a feeling that I might or might not have special powers. Second, there was the time Ayase had split in two, and now I'd just experienced something similar to that. So, creating a flower bed in an instant, how could I have achieved something that extraordinary? I didn't even have a D-sword. And on top of that, the flower bed had continued to exist even after Ayase had crashed onto it. When the teachers had rushed to check on her in the flower bed, their footprints had been visible. The flowers blooming there, which appeared to be the same as the ones in the courtyard, had been trampled over by the emergency services. When I looked, a number of the flowers had either been flattened or had their stems completely bent. And the flower bed might have still been there in that state. A delusion had become reality, and it stayed that way. It hadn't disappeared afterward, which made it different from Ayase's other self. And everyone had accepted the idea that the flower bed being there was only natural. No one even questioned it. Had I seriously done all that?
Oi.
Hey. Huh? Is that Sena? A sharp voice called for me from behind. Before I even got a chance to turn around, a hand grabbed me by the collar. With no chance to resist, I was shoved violently against the playground equipment. I groaned in pain as my back hit the equipment hard. Yep, it's you. What are you doing here? That's you, wasn't it? You made that flower bed. So you saw it happen, too. It was her. Sena. She was the one tossing me around. She continued gripping my collar with tremendous strength. It grew hard to breathe. I tried to fight back by squirming and flailing around with my arms, but she refused to let go. Her eyes were filled with a sharp, murderous light, and sent a shiver down my spine. Thinking I was about to die, I shook my head in desperate denial. Don't play dumb with me. I could feel Sena's breath on my cheeks. She was so close that she could rip out my throat with her teeth just like that. Why was this girl so violent and terrifying? Save me. Somebody please just save me. Are you involved with the Cosmic Church of the Divine Light? Huh? Huh? A newly founded religion, inaugurated in 1930, their public estimate places their number of followers at around 5 million, but the actual number is thought to be closer to 2 million. Its members are characterized by their ardent, forceful proselytization, which often causes repeated trouble for anyone involved. Kuramochi Yudai, the second-generational founder, possesses absolute charisma, and in return, his followers offer absolute reverence. The cosmic... What? Who taught you how to do that? Sena's voice was unusually tense. But I had no idea what she was talking about, so I just kept shaking my head over and over. What you did. It's impossible. Turning an error into reality without D-sword should be impossible. So who taught you how to use that power? I don't know. Who was it? Answer me. No one had taught me anything. But if I had to name someone... I'll say... I can't breathe. You're choking me. I'm gonna pass out. I'm gonna die. I'm done for. Ah! Just before I lost consciousness, Sana suddenly let go of me and I collapsed to the ground. I kept on coughing, struggling desperately to get oxygen in my lungs. The hell was she doing? Was Sana my enemy after all? Was she one of Shogun's underlings? If she was, then I had to run away. Are you really not a member of the Cosmic Church of the Divine Light? What the hell was the Cosmic Church of the Divine Light? I never heard of it. After seeing the confusion plastered all over my face, Sana finally stopped staring at me. She clicked her tongue lightly, then let out a sigh. Sorry. If you're not one of them, I'll let you go. She mumbled something in an unconcerned tone, then went to leave. Not much of an apology. Guess she wasn't going to hurt me then. Wait! Mustering up all my courage, I called after her. I expected her to ignore me, but instead she stopped and turned around. Her expression remained stern, but she still looked like she was willing to listen to what I had to say. When you say power, what do you mean? Sana knew something. She asked me if I created the flower bed from before. Everyone but me had recognized the flower bed as something that had always been there, but that didn't seem to apply to Sana. The flower bed from earlier. How did it... You had a delusion of it, didn't you? A delusion? I had, but... It's possible to turn delusions into reality. Objects that aren't real blend into the scenery around us. In other words, it allows errors to be perceived as real. But... if you can only see it with your eyes, then it's nothing but an illusion. Illusions were nothing more than that. Illusions, fake stuff you perceived as real. If that flower bed had just been an illusion, then Ayase shouldn't have survived. The only way Ayase would have been saved was if the flower bed hadn't been an illusion, but entirely real. The thing is, that illusion became real. That's the thing. The mechanism behind the world's function can be explained by three numbers. 0, 1, and -1. A D-sword is a shortcut to produce the last of those. -1. And yet you somehow managed to do it without a D-sword. There she goes again. More incomprehensible garbage. Wait, but I realized that what Senna was telling me wasn't just some schizo shit she'd come up with. The VR technology patent did exist after all. So that, at least, wasn't BS. Senna definitely knew things that I didn't. From now on, don't produce any more errors. Got it? This is for your own sake, not mine. Also, tell me if you see any other errors. Without letting me even get a word in, Sana blasted me with thing after thing, most of which sound like threats. And then when she was finally done, she turned her back to me. What is happening? How nice it would be if we could believe everything we see. After spitting out one last murmur, this time, Sana finally left the park. I don't know what's real anymore. Everything doesn't make sense. There's no people at the hospital. The floor of aged Tokyo General Hospital that housed the psychiatric ward was engulfed in silence. Ever since the earthquake had struck, the emergency room and surgical ward had been faced with a difficult situation. Injured citizens who had lost consciousness due to unexplained symptoms that were being carried into the clinic, one after the other. The psychiatric ward, meanwhile, was not nearly as involved in the relief efforts, nor were the outpatient facilities, allowing the latter department to conclude its operations even earlier than usual. Over the last few days, patients suffering from PTSD had come pouring in, but at least for today, the psychiatric ward had finished all of its outpatient appointments. A nurse there, Hazuki Shino, realized that she had been working non-stop ever since her shift began the night before, and that she had hardly even taken a break. This obviously left her feeling quite exhausted and, of course, hungry. The psychiatric ward had recently lost one of its doctors in a new gen incident, and the person replacing him had yet to arrive, leaving them constantly understaffed. Yeah. However, despite the shortage, all that remained for today's work were some minor chores that Hazuki could pass off to the next nurse, allowing her to take some time off. Reassuring herself that she only had to persevere a little bit longer, Hazuki slapped her cheeks with both hands, then began to walk through the empty lobby. Only to suddenly feel a gaze on her back. Chills ran down the nape of her neck. Goosebumps rose across her skin. She reflexively looked behind her, But all she saw was a silent corridor. Not a soul was there. Huh?
看護師さん
Miss Nurse! Hazuki jumped in surprise. She had heard a voice come from an entirely different direction. The origin of the voice was a single man standing in the lobby, which Hazuki had been convinced was empty. He had called out to her the moment he first saw her. Oh, Sua! He was a fairly young man and appeared quite virile. His complexion was nearly faultless, and he looked just as, if not, more healthy.
あなたは
Who are you?
ちょっと
Can I nab a few minutes of your time?
はあ
I suppose.
どうもっす
Much appreciated, miss. He smiled awkwardly, abruptly grabbing Hazuki's arms, and started walking her from the lobby toward the stairs. Hazuki, still quite bewildered, watched as the man, Sua Mamoru, took out a black ID badge from his pocket and humbly held it out to her. It was a police badge. Stopping at the landing of a staircase, Sua looked around carefully. He seemed to be very concerned with his surroundings.
それであの
What did you need me
お
for?
話って
Still having quite a bit of work left to do, Hazuki was feeling slightly restless, something Sua seemed to understand implicitly. And then, without any form of introduction, Sua produced a photo from his pocket.
この少年に
Have you seen this boy
見覚え
before?
ないっすか
Depicted in the photo was the apathetic face of Nishijo Takumi. Hazuki, confident in her ability to recognize faces due to her profession, nodded her head.
西条
Nishijo Takumi. This is
間
him,
違い
yeah?
ないっすか
え
Yes, but
でも
Hazuki's hesitation was only natural. Leaking a patient's private information could only spell trouble, even if it was to the police. But this was something Sua had been aware of prior to speaking with Hazuki. Suddenly, Sua's light attitude that he had been displaying up until that moment shifted to a far more serious one, and he began to speak in a low voice.
頼みがある
I have a favor to ask.
西条
Can you let me take a teensy little peek at Nishijo Takumi's medical record? We'll keep it under the table. Huh?
そんなの
That's unthinkable. I can't do that.
いません
とある事件に
It's
関わ
related to a
る
case I'm
重要
working
なこ
on,
と
so
なん
it's
すよ
really important. Now at a complete loss for words, Suzuki tried to leave, but Sua circled around her and blocked her path. I can lose my job.
迷惑はかけないっす
I won't let that happen. Just do me this one favor, please. As a last resort, Sua got down on his knees.
やめてくだ
Please
さい
stop.
本
I
当に
I
無
really
理なんで
can't.
す
これ以上
It's for the sake of preventing any more victims. Hazuki had no idea what she could do to make him give up. Unable to think of any proper way to say no, Hazuki could do nothing but stammer. Well, I was in a bit of a daze after Santa left, but I quickly shook myself out of it and dashed all the way back to my base. Luckily, I hadn't been confronted by Shogun or Yua on the way. In the end, I'd come back home without finding Rimi. With all the insanity caused by Ayase and the earthquake, the school probably let everyone go home early. So maybe if I waited a bit, Rimi would show up. In the meantime, though, I'd just have to suck it up and deal with my own fear. Alone. To distract myself from my growing anxiety, I went to try and gather information on my freshly restored PC. Or as I thought that, the notification light on my phone, which I had set right next to my monitor, started blinking. When I opened it, I saw that I'd received a text. I thought it was Rimi trying to contact me, but when I opened it... Oh. OMG, it's Nanami at Tokomo.ne.jp. Gotta tell you about school today. Something crazy happened at school today. There was a suicide attempt. It was so freaky. I haven't been that scared in a while. Sniffle. I hope she's okay. Were you at school when it all went down, big bro? And wow, that earthquake was crazy too. It gave me a really, really, really bad headache though. What was that all about? I'm still worried about the headache thing. I feel like the amount of new gen cases are about to skyrocket. So she kind of enjoyed being part of the spectators, huh? That's not fucked up at all. Naturally, I didn't send a reply. I searched online for information on Yayase. Phantasm's official homepage was still down. And none of the newspapers had reported on her either. Well, I guess they had their hands full with the earthquake, so they couldn't really spend the time reporting on some random indie singer's suicide attempt. Where things were now, I had no way of figuring out how exactly Ayase was doing, so I switched topics. There was way more information on the earthquake than when I had checked earlier. Apparently the death count had risen to 118, and the injured went above 300. Well, I never thought the fatalities would go beyond 100. That's not right. No, no. I refuse to believe that. It wasn't 118. It was 200 before. I am almost positive it said 200 before. Don't lie to me. What happened? Why did it suddenly lower? I know for a fact that it said 200 before. There's no way it didn't. So why did it suddenly lower? How did people come back to life? The epicenter was Shibuya, and it seemed the damage hadn't spread outside of it. It had been a seismic intensity 5 quake. No, no, something's wrong here. I'm almost tempted to go back and check. I'm really almost tempted to go back to a previous save file and check, because no, I refuse to believe that. There's no way it was 100 before. I am almost positive that it said 200 before. I am almost positive. No, I am like 99% sure it said 200 before. I swear it did. I swear it did. Am I wrong? No. Do I have to go back and check? I don't even know if this would help me figure it out, but I swear it said 200. I'm sorry, I can't. I have to figure out. We create a save file here. I'll lock it just in case. I need to know. I need to do some research. Hang on. I need... What was like the... What's the fast forward key? What's the fast forward key? Auto mode? I don't know if that's... Force skip? Let's try that. Wait, here we go. Wait. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Over 200 casualties! I knew it! I'm not going crazy. It did say it. I knew I wasn't going crazy. What's going on here? It says here that at over 200 casualties. Casualty means dead, right? Like, that's what that means, right? Hang on. I want a little bit more. I want to see Takami's research on it. 200 casualties. The casualties were currently set at 200. 200. Let's go back to the proper save file. 200 casualties. 200. And yet here, it said that the casualties was not 200. It is 118. I can't check it anymore because blah. But that... How did it lower? The epicenter was Shibuya, and it seemed the damage hadn't spread outside of it. It'd been a seismic intensity 5 quake. I swear to God, if this... 118, 118, 118, 118. I'm trying to burn that number into my mind because I'm going to pay... I'm going to watch like a damn hawk to make sure that that number doesn't, like, go down. According to one article, most of the magnetic media within Shibuya had been destroyed. When I thought about how I wasn't the only one to experience such tragedy, it made my frustration erupt all over again. It was a true, undeniable tragedy. My treasured Moe Pix and Eroge save data. They would never come back. That aside, I couldn't help but feel that this was no normal earthquake. 118 people dying wasn't normal. And of course, the abnormality had grown into a hot topic of discussion online. You guys think this earthquake was caused by the Whose Eyes Are Those Eyes guy, too? What the hell? Whose eyes are those eyes? Yeah, 100%. How else would 118 people die in an SI5 earthquake? Like, what the fuck, Lamau? Jesus Christ, how are they all such uncaring assholes? I try to think back to what happened during the earthquake. First, I'd been hit with a tremendous impact. My head felt like it was boiling, exploding even. A sensation I'd never experienced before. Getting hit by something that bad. Dying from shock wouldn't be all that surprising. Telling myself that I shouldn't stick to just the internet, I decided to watch some news. Okay, hang on. My head's starting to hurt. Takumi, didn't you forget to say something else that happened? You try to think back to what happened during the earthquake. First, I've been hit with a tremendous impact. No, you did not. You opened the phone. Is he just... Am I going crazy? Am I the one who's wrong? Does casualty not mean death? I could have sworn casualty meant, like, dead. Am I wrong? Am I the one going insane? I don't know anymore. Decided to watch some news on TV as well. My PC had a TV tuner attached to it, so that was why I didn't have nor need an actual TV.
現在までに死者118名、重軽傷者300名以上と非常に多くの犠牲者が出ていることが分かっています。
I need to put my mouse down for a second. Hang on, I'm just putting my hands in my face trying to massage it because we haven't received word about the unusually large number of casualties. As of this moment, there are over 118 confirmed fatalities and over 300 injured. The number went down. The number of fatalities went down. There's no denying that. Before, it said it was 200. I literally looked back in the save. And it said 200 casualties. Are casualties not death? Am I stupid? I could have sworn they were... Wait, no, but they said 300 injured before, so the casualties has to be referring to the... No, casualty can't mean injured because the 300 number's the same, but they're not talking about the 200 number anymore. The 200 number's been turned into 118. What the hell does... I'm looking this up. What does casualty mean? Am I wrong about the definition of casualty? Am I stupid? Casualty. I can't even spell it. Casualty. A person killed or injured in a war or accident. And that's what a casualty is defined by. That's what it did I read that right? Let me make sure. Yeah. Wait, I'm not... My brain hurt. My brain actually hurt right now. Why did it go down? Why did the number of deaths go down? It's no longer showing the 200 number. Wait, I know what to do. Please bear with me. I'm so sorry that you're probably getting annoyed with me, but I need to know. We're going back to this save real quick. I want to... There was the news anchor thing right here. Over 200 casualties. I don't know. I don't know. I can't know. I don't know.
現在までに死者
Something's not
118
adding
名
up. And I don't know what's wrong in my mind. Is my definition of casualty wrong? Does casualty just
重
mean
軽傷者
injury?
300名以上と非常
But
に多
no,
くの
the
犠牲者が出てい
300
る
number
こ
is the
とが
same.
分かっています。
So, I'm moving on. This is hurting my brain too much.
さて、
We
渋
have
谷
managed
の
to
駅前
successfully
と
reach
中
the
継
crew
が
in
つなが
front
っ
of
たよう
Shibuya
です。
Station.
島谷さん、現地の様子はいかがですか？
Shimatani, son, what is the situation there? There was a similar seismic intensity 5 earthquake back in 2005. However, that earthquake had no victims to speak of. So why is it that there are over 100 on this occasion? Over 100 dead and over 300 injured. What happened to the two? What happened to the other, like, what? 70? What's the math there? 72? 70? No, wait. What's the math there? 72? Wait, hang on. I can't math at the moment. I'm brain dead at the moment. So wait, hang on. 72, 8. No, it would have been 82. Wait, 89. Yeah, what happened to the other 82 people? Did they come back to life? Number of victims isn't proportional to what you would expect at this seismic intensity. There are multiple factors that may contribute to the... Regrettably, we do not yet have any details on the causes of death, nor on the condition of the injured who were transported to the nearest hospital. Today, we welcome experts to enlighten us on the complete destruction of magnetic media, an event which only occurred specifically within Shibuya. We are joined here by Mr. Hayashibara Taizo of the Geological Industries Laboratory and Mr. Ozawa Mikihito of the Geological Survey Foundation's Environmental Center. Hayashibara-san, how would you explain the severe damage caused to magnetic devices that occurred during this earthquake? Before I answer your questions, we must establish one very important factor. Roughly 200 meters below Shibuya lies a chunk of magnetite. Has to say, a geological stratum with large deposits of natural magnets. In terms of how to refer to such stratum, it is classified as igneous rock, but we casually address this area as the Magnetite Valley. It is a valley of magnets embedded deep within the earth. As its name implies, it is a rather large vein of rock, more precisely a dike. And see here, when a major stimulus arises, such as the earthquake that just occurred, it is not surprising that the consequence of said stimulus would be fatally damaging to all magnetic media on the surface, especially the components used for data recording. How absurd. Do you have a different opinion, Mr. Ozawa? Very much so. While it is true that there is a large dike of magnetite below Shibuya, it is widely accepted that this magnetite formation, too weak to even be referred to as actual magnets, does not harbor sufficient power to disturb magnetic moments in stable magnetic fields above ground. In actuality, seismic intensity 5 earthquakes have only occurred in the past, multiple times even, and in those cases, no such events as the ones observed during this earthquake transpired. Thus, I think it is reasonable to assume that the origin of the problem is different from the one you suggest. An interesting theory, but it is undeniable that the extraordinary number of casualties simply cannot be explained by the nature of the earthquake alone. I believe we can both agree on that. A not insignificant number of Shibuyan citizens report suffering from a peculiar headache. From these testimonies, it is reasonable to surmise that magnetite is very likely to be involved. Do you mean to claim that a magnetic field could kill over 100 people? We'll be right back after these messages. In other words, they don't know anything in concrete. Right after the earthquake, there had been a huge white mist floating above Shibuya. It turned the sky completely white, and yet it hadn't even been mentioned on the news. When the information had been fresh, everyone made sure to report on it. But now, they were acting like it never happened. Something about that just felt wrong. Oh, yeah. Wait, shouldn't everyone be talking about that white mist? Oh god, did it happen or did it not? I'm the one going crazy at this point, not Takumi. Me! The off-hours entrance to AH Tokyo General Hospital featured an area where ambulances could pull up alongside the building in order to deliver emergency patients. 2 ambulances were currently parked there, and paramedics were carrying those injured during the earthquake into the hospital. A doctor wearing light green surgical scrubs and the middle-aged head nurse accompanying him were loudly directing the paramedics through the process. The area around the off-hours entrance was already lined with patients waiting to receive treatment, and the sheer number of which indicating how busy the doctors truly were. And there were two types of patients getting carried into the hospital. First, the ones suffering from physical trauma. Patients would come with blood flowing from their arms, legs, and foreheads, their faces contorted in pain. While their state made them difficult to look upon, their treatment had been relegated to a lower priority. The other type was those who were unconscious despite showing no signs of physical trauma. These patients were prioritized. The number of unconscious people was awfully high among the emergency patients brought in from this particular earthquake. Such a high number had not been observed following the previous major earthquakes. It was an entirely new phenomenon. Moreover, the doctors were unable to explain the reason why so many of them had fallen unconscious. Yeah? Another ambulance arrives at the hospital, its siren blaring loudly. When the emergency responders disembarked from the ambulance, the doctor asked the patient's condition, and the paramedic immediately responded with, "Top priority!" That was all it took. In a normal situation, the doctor would have protested, asked for more information. In such an unprecedented chaotic situation, one would have expected that just shouting top priority would be answered by a succinct, "You don't say." I don't like that. I heard that. That damn rusty wheelchair sound. And yet, surprisingly, both the doctor and the head nurse merely gave a light nod, then proceeded to help unload the stretcher from the ambulance. The person lying on the stretcher was Kishimoto Ayase. Okay, it was just her. She was unconscious, yet faint moans escaped her lips. Paying no mind to the resentful gazes of the injured patients sitting around the entrance, the doctor and paramedics hurriedly carried the stretcher inside the hospital. Oh, Rimi! There you are! A girl stood at the hospital's main entrance, observing the situation from a distance. Sakihara Rimi's eyebrows furrowed atop her stern expression. Her teeth sank into her lip. Kishimoto-san. Why are you watching her? Back here we go. Obviously, I was concerned about the earthquake, but Shogun was way more of an issue to me. I couldn't get him out of my head. Speaking of, my headache was more or less gone now. But anxiety had already swooped right on in to replace it, as did the depression that came from being alone. I still hadn't heard from Rimi. I had tried to call her myself, but had gone straight to voicemail. Up until now, Rimi had always come dashing in to rescue me, to tell me everything would be fine. So of all days for her not to do that, why today? Hadn't she told me she would always stay by my side? I gritted my teeth, and then, as a way to escape my anxiety, I decided to focus entirely on reconfiguring my PC. First things first, I need to fix the settings on my email software. It's been forever since I'd set it up, so I couldn't remember how exactly to do it. The first thing I had to do was find the instruction manual that had been included with the email software provided by my ISP. Despite not putting in much actual physical work, I found myself drenched in sweat. I'd nearly given up out of frustration multiple times throughout the process. It ended up beating a full hour of my time, half of which was spent trying to find the damn manual, just to recover my email address. Well, now that I had it back, I should check it right away. Yeah, mail, you big dum-dum. Right? No, let's ignore that. My husband cheated on me. Whose eyes are those eyes? From Nanami. Don't like that. Urgent. Applicants needed. 20 positions open. Information. I had a great time last night. Chibana. You have been gifted an honorary deposit. SY Bank. Have mind-blowing by Shin. I'm a hopeless Stop it. Talk to me. I could finally hear that voice again. I felt so relieved. All the pain and suffering had all been worth it. I had 8 new emails, all of which were spam. Were they? Actually, hidden among the spam was an email with a strange subject line and an even stranger sender. Whose eyes are those eyes? I groaned reflexively. What the hell? Was Nanami trying to prank me? If she was, that was a pretty shitty thing to do. I generally wanted to punch her in the face. No, wait a minute. There was no reason for me to get an email from Nanami. She never contacted me using my computer's email address before. She always just texted me on my phone, like she had earlier. Yeah, so why the email? Not only that, but I never even given her my email address. Was it just a coincidence? A fluke? Nanami was a common first name, after all. And the phrase, whose eyes are those eyes, had become so popular, pretty much everyone was using it. There was nothing strange about being used as a subject for a spam email. But just to soothe my anxiety, I decided to check on the contents. That's
結
pretty
構な長
wordy.
文だな。さっきはチャットで
It was fun
話
chatting
が
with
で
you
きて
earlier.
楽しかったよ。ちなみに送
For
信者
anything
の
else,
名前
though,
は
I should
ダン。
mention the sender name is an alias.
僕の名前は
My actual
将軍
name
だよ
is Bruh. Huh? Shogun? No, it couldn't be.
将軍
Shogun
が
can't
僕
possibly
の
know
メア
my
ド知っ
email
てるはず
address.
が。
How would... Wait, what if Shogun had read my mind? If he'd done that, figuring out my email address would be child's play.
嘘でしょ。
That's impossible. I'm glad Ayase-san's safe. I initially planned to paint her as the next victim of my new gen canvas, but suicide works too. You've outdone yourself, Takumi-kun. You've got a new high score. I'm very impressed. You really are something special. But enough about that. Let's talk about Nishijo Nanami-chan. Uh-oh. Hell? He was acting toward me. Seeing how friendly he was acting toward me only served to creep me out even more. Two of you are siblings, so I'd love to see some juicy drama unfold between you two. Ever since the earthquake hit, Shibuya has been pretty bloodthirsty. Whether we can reach a conclusion so touching, it'll blast all that away in an instant. That's up to you. It's real hard to clear quests unarmed, isn't it? You're a hero, so don't you feel you deserve a legendary sword to match? I know you do, so I hope you're looking forward to what I've got in store for you. I don't. I don't. I don't. This guy was insane. Why would he... At 9 p.m. tonight, I want you to come to the roof of O-Front. You're going to be on TV, so make sure you put on a heroic tunic. Now then, let the quest to rescue Nanami begin. P.S. Before I forget, did you get my present? This is no longer, like, funny, haha, interesting murder mystery solving, or, like, trying to figure out the anomalies or whatever this was. This is dread. I'm not a hero at all. I'm not Nightheart. He's planning to finally kill me. I couldn't go. There was no way I could go. I wanted to run away. Rimi, I need you to protect me. Why wasn't she answering me when I tried to contact her? Maybe she'd been injured in the earthquake? But back when I'd seen Misumi-kun, he didn't mention anything happening to her. I picked up my phone and checked if I got any calls or texts from Rimi. There's none. Rimi, where did you... As I thought that, something stopped me. It was my text. At the top of the list, I could see the text Nanami had sent me earlier. Was Nanami okay? Oh god. I read Shogun's email again from top to bottom. But enough about that stuff. Let's talk about Nishijo Nanami-chan. Now then, let the quest to rescue Nanami begin. What was that supposed to mean? Forget that. I should just call Nanami. I opened the address book on my phone. Only 3 numbers were registered there. Rimi's, Nanami's, and the number from my parents' house. Nanami was always nagging me to call her. Every time we saw each other, she'd bug me about it. Well, since she asked so many times, I guess I could throw her a bone. So please, answer. If you don't, I'm never calling you again. I swear to God, if you got injured during the earthquake or and aren't answering because of it, I'll never let you hear the end of it. I selected Nanami's number and pressed the call button. I put the phone to my ear. I heard nothing. The ringing tone didn't start immediately. It was normal for my phone to take a second whenever I called with it, but right now, that 1 second of silence felt like an eternity. I was getting increasingly antsy.
早く
Hurry up already!
よし
Finally, it started. Oh no. Where's that phone? What? That sound. What was that sound? I pulled my phone away from my ear. An unfamiliar melody echoed throughout the room. Could it be a ringtone? Don't like it. Don't like it. Don't like it. Don't like it. Whose phone was ringing? I am fully tempted to just make the delusion real here. Maybe if I do a positive delusion, it'll bring Remy back here. I don't know at this point. It's getting harder and harder to keep the neutral delusions, or just keep it neutral. Because I'm scared. But with the timing, what else could it be? I want to make it positive. Or I can make it negative. I'm scared. No. I shook my head. I had never heard Nanami's ringtone, so there was no proof that the melody I was hearing was it. No proof at all. I was getting scared now. I pressed my phone back to my ear. Nanami still wasn't answering. Please pick up. Please pick up the phone already. Maybe I should call my parents instead. That'd be the fastest way to get a hold of her. Ignoring the mysterious ringtone I'd been hearing for the last few seconds, I hung up the phone. Don't like that! It stopped. The mysterious ringtone stopped. My room suddenly grew quiet. It wasn't completely exact, but I was still sure of one thing. The song stopped. At almost the exact same time, I'd hung up the call.
なんで
What? I was becoming more and more confused. Not knowing what else to do, I started looking around the room over and over again, but no matter how much I looked around, my brain refused to process any of it. I was just making myself dizzy. My mind had gone completely blank. Once again, I tried calling Nanami. Maybe this time the ringtone will play and Nanami will answer the phone. In my days, those were the faint hopes I clung to. Oh. Only for those hopes to be swiftly crushed. Less than 2 seconds after the call started, the happy-go-lucky melody started playing once more. There was no mistaking it. I couldn't avert my eyes from reality anymore.
この部屋
It's
に
it's in this room. Nanami's phone was in this room. But why? Hadn't Nanami forgotten it here? Or... Before I forget, did you get my present? This wasn't happening. It couldn't be. It didn't matter how much sense it made. It just couldn't be true. I slowly lowered the hand holding my phone. I couldn't even blink. My throat was dry as a desert. Even still, I searched for the source of the sound. This time I slowly, ever so slowly, examined each and every object scattered throughout the room. I hated myself more than ever for not cleaning my room. If only I was more organized, I could spot where it was coming from immediately. Or how was it coming from? Oh, that's messed up. That box. The song was coming from inside of it. It was the size of about 2 Uroki. Not now. At first I thought it was something I bought online, but there was nothing printed on it. There wasn't even a shipping label either. It was sealed with duct tape. Had this large box always been here? Had it fallen from the bed during the earthquake?
いや、
No. It couldn't have. I'd never seen it before. If it was something I bought online, I would have opened it straight away. If it was something I'd sold and was shipping to someone else, I'd have sent it off the moment I'd sealed it up. For a second, I considered that maybe Nanami had dropped it off, but I couldn't remember her bringing in a cardboard box of this size. Which could only mean, during the hour I'd been at school, someone had entered my base. I have a present for you. I hope it pleases you. My heart was beating out my chest. In a panic, I went to check the lock on my door. A chill ran down my spine. Earlier in the day, when I'd wandered outside my base, I didn't remember locking the door. And I couldn't blame myself. At the time, I'd been suffering from a stabbing headache, and I was really dizzy. When I come back from school an hour later, I hadn't locked the door then either. Anyone could have easily gotten in. Was it Shogun? Had Shogun really broken in? I looked at the box again. The song was still playing, and Nami's phone was in there. I nervously lifted the cardboard box. It was heavy. With how heavy it was, there was no way there was just a phone inside. It weighed about the same as 500 milliliters of soda. I was hesitant to open it. I had a very bad feeling about this.
こんなの
I don't
開きたく
want to
ない
open
よ
it. But there was nothing else I could do. I had to open it. I was too worried about Nanami. She was a total brat, but at the end of the day, she was still my little sister. Nanami's phone was in the box. In other words, someone had taken her phone from her. Now then, let the quest to rescue Nanami begin. It had been in Shogun's email. I looked at the clock. It was already past 7:30. Nanami might be in danger. I had no choice but to open it. My heart refused to stop pounding. Large drops of sweat began trickling down my forehead. With a moan, I wiped away the sweat with the back of my hand, and then I slowly tore off the shoddily applied duct tape.
嫌だ
Please no,
Yeah.
please no, please no, please no.
嫌だ
Mumbling that like a prayer, I opened the box.
嫌だ嫌だ嫌だ嫌だ
Inside was a lump of aluminum foil, packed carefully with cushioning material. I peeked fearfully inside the box, but the phone was nowhere to be seen. The song was coming from inside the foil. Sweat got in my eyes, and it stung. Before I knew it, my entire body had gone soaked in sweat. No, I can't do this anymore. Why me? Why does it have to be me? I nearly said those tearful complaints aloud. I pleaded with Seraton for comfort, but she didn't say anything. A myriad of delusions swirled within my head, so much so that it felt like it was on the verge of exploding. I couldn't even focus hard enough to have a delusional conversation with Seraton. My mind was racing so fast I couldn't even think. And yet, despite the near shutdown of my brain, the happy-go-lucky melody from the phone kept assaulting me relentlessly. I'm gonna open it. Having made up my mind, I pinched the edges of the aluminum foil with my fingers. Closed my eyes. Held my breath. And tore off the aluminum foil in one go. I could hear the song even more clearly than before. I was too afraid to open my eyes. I tried as hard as I could to catch my breath, but to no avail. It was fine. Everything was fine. There was nothing to be afraid of. This was just a harmless prank from Nanami. Just wait, any second now, Nanami's gonna burst into the room with a big smile on her face, yelling, "Surprise! I got you!" Yeah, I was sure of it. There's no reason to even consider anything else. Once she did that, I'd lay into her like never before, then I'd never talk to her ever again. Go on, Nanami, prove me right. I had opened my eyes. I can't start staring into the darkness. Not looking at it was only making things worse. All it did was force me to imagine what horrors might be inside. I couldn't handle any more terrifying delusions. And so, I slowly opened my eyes, and Saw it. What? Lying in the foil was a hand. A cleanly severed, slender hand. Grasped in that hand was a phone identical to mine. And wrapped around its wrist was...
へえ、かわいいバング
Cute
ルじゃん。
bangle.
じゃあさ、
Okay then,
Put it
I'll
on
take
the
off your
Jonah.
hands.
お
So,
兄
what do you
と
think? Does it look good on me?
I'm going insane. I feel like I'm going insane. The yellow leather band that's in crimson. Bangle. That's what I want to do, but I'm scared I'll just be seen as insane. What I'm about to discuss from this moment forward will get rather technical.
君は元医師だろ
You are a former
患
doctor.
者に説明するように
You are a
分
former
かりやす
doctor,
く
you
簡
not?
潔に
I'd be
話
most
してもらえ
appreciative
る
if your
とありがた
explanation
い
remained clear and concise, much like you would be with a patient.
努力しましょう
I will strive to do so.
さて
Now then, within the human brain are hundreds of millions of cells. Each of these cells are linked together by microscopic slender threads.
それらは
You may
細い
think of these as a
神経
circle
の糸を出
of
し合って
people, as if a circle
そ
of
れぞれ
people
に
clasping
手
hands.
をつないしかし実際に
In
は
actuality, however,
各
possession
神
of
経
the
の
edges
先
of
端
each
にあ
nerve
る
lies
手
an
と手
extremely
の
narrow
間に
space
は
between these sets of
ごくわず
aforementioned
かな
hands.
隙間が空いている脳細胞に情
When
報の電
information
気
is
信
sent
号が
via
送り出さ
electro
れる
signals to
と
a brain cell,
その神経の
microscopic
手のひらから
molecules of
極小
dopamine
の
are
物質
transmitted to the palm of a
ドーパ
cell's
ミンが
hand,
ボールのように
perhaps
飛び
akin
出して
to a
きま
thrown
す
ball.
それは
The
反
brain
対
cell
側
on
の
the
神経
receiving
の手の
end
ひら
then
にキャッ
catches
チ
these
され
particles,
再度情
converts
報
the
の電
information
気信
contained
号に
within
変わ
them
っ
back
て
into electrical
また
signals,
隣の
then
脳細
repeats
胞
the
に
process
伝わ
with
って
its
いる
neighboring cells.
脳の構造は
Simply
簡
put,
単
the
に
brain
言う
is
とその
structured
繰り
around the
返しです
repetition of this process.
我が社が開発した第
The
二世
second
代
generation
ノ
Noah
ア
2
2は
developed by my
こ
company
の部分に
interferes
干
with
渉するこ
this
とで
mechanism
人に疑似的
and
な
allows
映
us
像
to
を
show
見せる
people
ことを可
artificial
能とし
images.
ました
ホログラムのような
Something
も
akin
の
to a hologram.
あるいは幻覚
Or perhaps a hallucination.
幻覚の
It
方
would
が
be
近いで
closer
しょ
to a hallucination than a hologram. However, the
ですが明確に
distinct
違う
difference
点として
between those concepts is that the
その疑似的
artificial
映像
image
は
possesses
確かな
wings,
存
a
在感があ
definite
るものとし
presence.
て映る
Wait, are you telling me the hand's a fake? Please tell me that the hand's a fake. Please. That's what I'm choosing to believe. That hand's not real. That hand's not Nanami's. It's just a fake delusional hand. If the artificial image possesses weight, then that means the hand was not real. The only thing that was real was probably the phone. The hand was not there.
人間の目視覚というの
The
は
human eye.
実に
A
興
sense
味
of
深
sight
い
is
もの
truly
です
most fascinating.
視野は単眼の
The
場合
field of vision of a single eye
鼻は
extends to
60
approximately 60 degrees nasally and
耳側
100 degrees
100
temporally. In addition, the overlapping fields of vision for both eyes is 120 degrees,
周辺
and
視
when
野を含
including
め
the
れば
peripheral vision, it reaches from
180
180 to
度から200度もの
200
視界が
degrees.
広がっているその一方で
And yet, within
以
these
前ご
impressive
説明した
measurements,
よ
there
うな
are, as I
デッ
previously
ドスポット
detailed,
も
dead
また
spots.
存在する脳にとって視覚
Sight
とは
is, without a doubt, the sense which is the most deeply connected to the brain. Around 80% of the brain's usage is dedicated to the processing of
視神
information
経情
obtained
報
through
の
the
処理
optic
のため
nerves.
だけに使う
その点について
Committee
は
of 300 is paying
300
close
人委員会
attention
も
to
注目
these
して
subjects
お
as
る
well.
人間の視覚には
The
ま
human
だまだ
sense of
謎
sight
が多
remains
い
immersed in a mystery.
世界中で研究テーマ
Around
と
the
して
world,
上
even
がっている
counting
も
in
のだけで
only
も
the
1000
facets
以上
of research that specialize in it, you will find well over 1,000 topics involving the matter.
アメリカで数年前に発
Several years
行さ
ago,
れ
the
た
United States of
行
America
政命
produced a
令
memorandum named
機
Strengthened
密の
Protections for
人体
Human
研
Subjects
究
of
に対す
Classified
る保
Research.
護の強化というのは
Was that a
委員会に
consequence of the
よる圧
committee's
力ですか
pressuring?
圧力ではない
No,
これは
it did
選
not
定
arise
だ
from
よ
pressure. It was a selection.
300人委
The
員会
Committee of
は
300 does not
どこ
welcome the
の
prospect
馬
of
の
some
骨とも知
researcher
れん
of
研
unknown
究者が
origin setting
こ
foot
の
into
分
this
野
field
に
of
足
study.
を踏み入れること当然ながら
Naturally, those instructions weren't given solely to the United States, but
世
to other
界
countries
各
across the
国にも
globe as
同
well.
様の指示は出
我が国は随分
Our
自由
country
の
has
よう
quite
で
the
すね
freedom in comparison.
私
It
の
does
よう
not
な
even
人間を放
hinder
置
the
している
actions
ぐ
of
ら
a
いです
person
から
such as I.
勘違いしてはいかんな
Don't be misled. What purpose do you think we're here to serve?
君はすでに選
You
定
have
済
already
み
been selected.
なんだよ。だからこそ君に
Thus,
は
your actions are expected to bear more fruits than the
成果が
commoners.
求められている。
300人委員会をも出し抜ける
Results that
よう
would surpass even the committee of 300s, you mean?
というわけだ。
うかつな口を
I
聞
advise
く
you
な
to
と言
avoid
っ
such
ておる。
careless speech.
今はまだ
For
我
the
ら
time
の
being,
真
we
の目
mustn't
的
allow
を誰に
anyone
も
to learn
悟
of
ら
our
れ
real
てはならない。
objective.
たとえ委員会
Not
に
even the
対しても
committee.
ね。
これは失礼。
Pardon my speaking out of turn.
説明を続
You
け
may
たま
resume
え。
your explanation.
ノア2が生み
The
出した
artificial
疑似
images
的
produced
映
by
像
Noah
は
2 are
視
converted
神経
into
パルス
optical
に
nerve
変換
impulses
し
and
て
radiated
電
as
磁波として
electromagnetic
照射し
waves.
ます対象
They
の皮膚
penetrate
や
the
頭
skin
蓋
and
骨を
cranium
貫
of the
通し
person
て
targeted by
直
them,
接ドー
and
パ
are
ミン
then
受容
intercepted by the
体
dopamine
つまり
beam receptors,
先ほど
which
の
I
説明で言う
previously
ところ
referred to
の
as the palm of a
手の
hand.
ひらにキャッそして
And ultimately,
デ
the
ッドス
process
ポット
terminates,
へと最終
terminates
的
by
に落とし
inserting the
込まれ
images
る
into the subject's dead spots.
特に G レートの
People
高い
who
エリア
reside
の
within the
人
areas
々
where
は
the GE rays
空
high
中
and
の映
particularly
像パル
susceptible
ス
to
信号
airborne
を
image-based
敏感に
impulse
キャッチしま
signals.
す
In these instances, their
混
brains
乱
are
した脳は
their brains
そ
in
の
a
疑似
confused, more
的映
receptive
像
state
を
will pass
現実だと
artificial
判
images
断
as
するこ
real.
とになりますこれが人間の
This
視
is the
界の中
mechanism
に
through which we are
無から
able to
有を
produce
作り出
something
す
from
メカニ
nothing
ズ
in
ム
the
です
eyes of the population. This hurts.
ノア2を用いれば街中の
If
ど
I
こ
may
を見て
provide an
も
example, though,
先生の
through
選
the
挙ポスター
use of
だ
Noah 2, it would be a simple matter to make people see your campaign posters wherever they traveled.
ただし
However,
あ
one
くまで人
prerequisite
々
must
の
be
バイオリズムが
fulfilled.
高い状
The
態であ
people's
ることが
biorhythms
条
must
件
be in
で
a
す
high state,
幻覚によって意志を
inducing
誘
will
導
through
する
illusions. It is a mechanism quite comparable to a silent
沈
weapon.
黙の兵器と条件さえ満た
As
せば
long as the
対象の
requirements are
見てい
met,
る
one
世
may
界を
transform
自
the
在
world
に書き
perceived by the
換え
subject
る
as
こ
they
と
see
が
fit.
それはギガロマ
Does
ニア
that
ッ
mean
ク
its
スと
power
同
equals
等
that
の
of
力という
a gigalomaniac?
Excuse you? A gigalomaniac? Huh?
その通りです
That is correct. Noah 2 could
ノア
very
2
well
は
be described
機
as
械
a
仕
as a
掛け
mechanical
のギガロマニアッ
gigalomaniac.
クスと言ってもいいでしょう
The heck's a gigalomaniac?
理論値通りに稼働を始めれ
If
ば
it begins operating
ギガロ
according
マ
to
ニアックスた
theoretical
ちと
values,
同
it will
等
soon be able to produce a
Yeah.
power that is equal
近い
to,
将
no
来それ以
greater
上
than
の
that
能
of a
力を再現
gigalomaniac.
できるようになります
だが効果の有効範囲
What
は
of
ど
its
うなの
practical range of effect?
電磁
Won't
波
the
は垂れ流
electromagnetic
しなの
waves
か
leak
ね
into the surrounding area?
それでは
So
汎用
that
性
foregoes
と
any
いう
hope of
点がおろそかになる
multiplicity of use.
我々は
We have no
無
desire
差
to
別な
conduct
洗脳を
indiscriminate
望んでおる
brainwashing.
わけ
Subjects
で
are
はない
meaningless if they cannot be
対
precisely
象
selected.
は
ご心配なく
Worry not. A certain
その
factor
た
has
め
been
に
implemented for that very
機能因
purpose.
子を用意しモニターをご覧ください
If I may direct your attention toward the monitor. I'm scared. What?
なんだ
What is
この
with these
小
little
汚い連
scum?
中は
我が社では
Within my company, they are what we call porters.
言い換えれば
More precisely, one could perhaps refer to them as mind control units.
といったところでしょう
Oh, the backpacks, the rucksacks. Are these those? Are these people that hold these strange devices that make people go act weird that we saw Santa cut down?
彼らが背負ってい
Within
る
the
リュックの
rucksacks
中
that
には
they carry are pulse, the devices designed to serve as transceivers for the impulses originating from Noah 2.
ポートは
These
信号を
ports
受け
receive
取
the
ると
signals
リモート
and
で周
emit
囲へ
them
と放出
remotely
するわ
out
け
into
で
the
す
surrounding region.
歩く
Horrible
端
terms,
末というわけ
Through
か
them, restrictions on the effective
それな
range
ら
of
ば
effect
有
are
効
limited.
範囲の制限
限定的使用も
Operating in
問
a
題ない
limited fashion becomes a non-issue as well.
状況は
I
理解し
understand what you are proposing. You may
貴
continue
様は
proceeding
引
with
き
your
続
plan.
き計画
ただし
However, please refrain from
300
taking
人
any
委員
action
会に
that could alert
悟
the
られ
committee
る
of
ような言
300.
動はくれぐれ
あとは何人
Aside
犠
from
牲
that,
を
I
出
care
そう
not how
と
many
構わ
victims
ん
must be sacrificed.
ご理解いただきありがとうご
I'm
ざい
deeply
ます
grateful for your understanding.
それでは
With that, I would like to request that you provide me with personnel suitable to serve as porters.
手配しよう
We will make the arrangements.
それと引き続き先生方には
As
メ
well
デ
as
ィアの
that, it
コ
would
ン
be
トロ
most
ールをお
appreciated
願
if
い
you
いた
gentlemen
し
could
ます
maintain control over the media.
すべては
All for the sake of we three's long-sought ideal. Don't show me the hand again, please. You're gonna show me the hand again, aren't you? Please don't show me the hand again. I'd rather just not look at it. Oh, hi.
タッキー
Taki.
ねえタッ
Hey, Taki.
聞こえてるっし
Can you
ょ
hear me?
うん
Yeah,
聞こえて
I
るよ
can hear you,
セナタ
Saraton.
あのさ
So I've been
もうこ
thinking
のゲー
we
ム
should just quit
終
the
わりにし
game.
ようよ
ゲーム
Game?
ナナミッチはタッ
I
キー
know
の
that
大事な妹だってのはわかる
Nanamichi
け
is
ど
your precious sis,
で
but
も手
it's
遅れだ
probably
よ
already too late.
そんなこと
Can't be too late.
そんなこと
It can't
ないよ
Be.
だって
I mean,
腕を
when you
切り
get
落
your
とさ
arm
れちゃ
lopped
ったら
off,
さ
you usually bleed to death
普通
from it.
出血
It might be
大量
different if
死ん
you
じゃ
were
う
in
っ
a
しょ
game, though.
ゲームで
なんで
Why? Why
なんでナナ
Nanami?
ミが
もうさ
I'm sure this is already game over.
早くゲームを
If you
や
don't
めな
quit
い
the
と
game
も
fast,
っ
loads
と
of
たく
people
さ
will
ん人
die.
が死んじゃう
でも
But
でもセーラタンだって
Saraton,
悪いやつ
you
と
always
戦って
beat
る
up
じ
the
ゃない
bad
か
guys.
だって
That's cause
私はアニメだよ
I'm from an anime.
I forcefully shoved Saraton's figure inside the inner pocket of my uniform.
助けなきゃ
I have to save her.
僕が
I brought Saraton as a good luck charm. In a normal situation, I would never get caught dead carrying around a figure, because it could get damaged, obviously. Destroying your precious waifu was the most horrible thing an otaku could do. But right now, I couldn't bring myself to abide by my usual policies. I needed the emotional support above all else. On top of that, I might not live to see another day anyway. I took one glance at Saraton. Her head was sticking out of my pocket, and by doing so, I managed to hold back the tears that were on the verge of flowing out. Suddenly, someone bumped into me from behind, making me stumble. I turned around to see some Dokian staring at me with an annoyed look. And yet, much to my surprise, he didn't say anything. He simply vanished into the crowd. I looked around. I was at Scramble Crossing. The crowd was so huge it was hard to believe it was 9 p.m. on a weekday. Not to mention the very same day an earthquake had killed 100 people. I felt like I was suffocating waiting for the pedestrian signal. People were surrounding me from every direction. And for some reason I wasn't aware of, the media was flooding in too. People with huge TV cameras were forcing themselves onto the road, halting traffic. The flashes coming from them every couple seconds nearly blinded me. A group of people who were likely reporters were giving passionate speeches to their respective cameras. A few policemen were attempting to shoo away the mass media and pedestrians standing in the road, but gaining back control of the situation seemed pretty much impossible. It was like a paradise for people without cars. Were they holding some kind of event? Why this late? Why today? Considering 100 people had died, and that was definitely in bad taste, didn't they have any kind of respect? And if there was an event, it was crazy that even the mass media was joining in on the insanity. Japan was over. Not that it mattered to me.
助けなきゃ
I have to save her.
僕が
I have to save
助け
her.
なきゃ
The place Shogun had told me to go to was O-Front, a building which sat in front of Scramble Crossing, the one with the Tatsuya and Star bricks located inside of it. I really didn't want to come alone, but I couldn't get in touch with Rimi no matter how many times I tried. And the police were probably still mistaking me for the new gen culprit, so I couldn't go to them. But the time Shogun had set was getting closer and closer, and I was too worried about Nanami to stay home, so I had no choice to go there while holding on to Saraton. I carved a path through the sea of people and somehow managed to get inside O-Front. But unfortunately for me, it was pretty crowded inside too, but I didn't even have the strength to be upset about it. The only thing on my mind were my prayers for Nanami's safety. I took the escalator that led to the upper floors. Using one of the windows inside the Starbucks, I was able to look down toward the Scramble Crossing. Now I was looking at it from above, it was even more crowded than I thought. And they weren't just standing there either. Some were waving, some were jumping, and some were doing both. Countless dark heads bobbed up and down. It was even more blinding now than when I was down there. I felt like all the lights were pointed at me. With each new floor the escalator brought me to, my heartbeat got faster and faster. I took out my phone to check the time. There was 1 minute left before 9 p.m., the time he had set. The thought of Shogun killing Nanami out of anger. It terrified me so much that I started sprinting up the steps of the escalator, pushing aside anyone in my way. I changed to an elevator to access the top floor. I didn't know how to get on the rooftop after that, but as I wandered around, I spotted an emergency staircase. No one stopped me as I shot through it and successfully made my way to the rooftop. The strong wind was blowing. Considering it was the end of October, it was weirdly lukewarm outside. It took a minute, but I soon realized it wasn't a natural breeze, but one blown up by the outdoor AC unit. I buttoned the front button of my uniform so that serotonin wouldn't fall out.
Thanks bunches, you big dum-dum.
You're welcome.
どういたしまして。
I felt a slight sense of relief when I heard Seroton's voice in my head. Seroton was with me, so there was nothing to be afraid of. I desperately tried to convince myself of that. For that moment, I had yet to realize how dark it was. The only source of light was from the back of the lit front sign. Ironically, the neon lights from the surrounding buildings were too bright for me to see anything. If someone was hiding in the shadows, I would have been incapable of seeing them. You're late. My heartbeat, which had finally started to calm down, skyrocketed once again after hearing those words break the silence. I looked all around me, but I was unable to figure out what direction the voice had come from. And then I heard a sound. A squeaking sound that I heard several times before. This time I deliberately focused my gaze into the rampant darkness. There I spotted the glow, the blacklit outline of a wheelchair's wheels.
Huh?
Shogun. Welcome, Takumi-kun. He was talking to me like he knew me. Like we were friends. It felt so wrong, goosebumps spraying up on my skin. I didn't want to talk to him. I was too scared. I wanted to get out of there as soon as possible.
Okay, then let's hightail it out here. This rate, Taki, you're gonna get killed.
But Nanami was... You really are a brave guy. You came here alone, just like I told you to. You've definitely got my thanks there. Wait a minute. Something was off about him. He was different from before. Yeah, his voice. Something was off about his voice.
その声。
That voice. A voice is just vibrations moving through the air. The way it sounds depends on the conditions around it. Aren't I correct? What was going on? His voice kept changing. Was he using some kind of voice changer? Did he want to hide who he was by disguising his voice? Why now then? Why hadn't he before? That aside though, I wasn't following what he was saying.
Taki, don't let him confuse ya. Don't let your guard down. No trust in anything anyone says.
You're right. You're completely right, Seroton. Seroton always spoke nothing but the truth. I tightly squeezed Seroton's body through my clothes. Where's Nanami? I felt like my heart was about to burst from fear. Even still, I desperately forced out my voice. I thought stuff like this only happened in TV and video games. Is Nanami already dead? Nope.
Yeah, no, he chopped off her whole hand, don't you remember? Even if she was alive, it wouldn't seem expect she'd be about to bleed to death.
Tears began to flow. Nanami's sulking face appeared in my mind. Honestly, she was a brat. A really annoying one. And yet despite that, I was so sad. Sad enough for tears to flow. Nanami's my little sister. My precious little... Why did you kill her? It's horrible. Do you think she's dead? Did you ever consider that the hand I sent to your place was someone else's? Huh? What I'm saying is, even though the phone and the bangle are Nanami-chan's, the hand may belong to someone else. Nanami was alive.
Told you not to trust him, just don't listen.
If you successfully complete the quest, I'll return Nanami-chan to you. No questions asked. Alive, of course. Quest. Shogun used that word again. Does he want me to think of this like a game? But the real me wasn't a hero. He wasn't anything like one. However, if you aren't able to complete it, Nanami-chan won't be coming back. Suddenly Shogun's voice became cold as ice. Getting scared of some old guy like this was pathetic, but this man wasn't normal. This man was a new gen culprit. I'm sure I don't need to explain what'll happen if you disappoint me, so don't let me down now. You can do it. Why me?
僕なの僕じゃなくても
Can't you just pick someone else?
僕なんかじゃなくて
It has to be you.
だからなんで
You are the chosen one. I was the chosen one.
Don't get the wrong idea, Taki. When he says chosen, he's talking about how you're the next victim he chooses.
The tragic end of all the new gem victims flashed through my mind, sending shivers down my spine. Don't you remember what happened at noon today? I'm sure you do. At noon? At school, you saved Kishimoto Ayase. Do you want me to replicate something like that? Shogun had also mentioned Ayase's suicide attempt in the email. He must have been observing the whole debacle from somewhere. Or maybe he'd been mind-controlling Ayase. Maybe he was the reason she tried to kill herself. Thanks to that flower bed, Kishimoto Ayase survived. Do I have that right? Shogun knew about my power. Back at school, no one even questioned the existence of the flower bed. The only one who had it was Seina. Then she'd gone on to accuse me. You had a delusion of it, didn't you?
Taki, deny everything Shogun's saying to you. Go on, give everything you've got.
Right, maybe the entire reason why Shogun was following me around, why he was trying to kill me, it was because I had powers. If I claimed that I didn't have any powers, maybe he'd let me off the hook. I don't have any powers.
そんな力
Powers. I don't recall saying anything about powers. Shit.
Not having powers, Taki. You're just an otaku freak. You don't have what it takes to hero. You're just a harmless shun that... Nope.
Yeah. The idea that I had actual real-life powers is nothing more than chuny bullshit I dreamt up. I'd almost been convinced by what Seina and Ayase had told me. But those two were raging mental cases. They weren't writing that. And I wouldn't be much better if I actually just believed them without a second thought. Even Rimi had said it was a delusion. Would you mind explaining what you meant by that? And I'd like to hear about that flower bed too. Do you have any proof that I did
僕
it?
がやったっていうでしょ花壇を何も
That's
ないところ
ridiculous.
から
I
出
can never
現
make
させる
a
なん
flower
て
bed appear out of thin air
そ
like
んなの
that.
僕に
So the flower bed appeared out of thin air. Everyone I spoke to said there had always been a flower bed there. You're the only one that says the flower bed wasn't there from the get-go. No one else perceives that in the same way you do. No, I dug my grave even deeper. What kind of monster was this guy? When he mentioned that he talked to everyone, did that mean he physically gone to my school and talked to the people there? I don't have any powers. I don't even know how the hell I did it. And yeah, you did. Your delusion became reality.
Don't let him fool ya. Taki, you really think you have some silly powers? Seems to the enemy world. You really live in reality, you adult. Can you prove that the flower bed and the two Ayasechi are real? You can't, can ya? Did you touch one of the Ayasechi when she split herself in two?
No.
So it was probably an illusion, righto? You were probably just scared of being chased by Yuachi being the police, so you started seeing weird stuff.
Then what about the flower bed?
It's the same thingy. The flower bed was there from the start. You were all dizzy when you went there to try and find Rimichi. And you only checked the flower bed was there after Ayasechi fell, right? If no one's questioned the flower bed appearing out of thin air, it means that's because it was there from the beginning. Ain't that right? You just made a little boo-boo, Taki. So don't you dare let Shogun fool you with his lies.
花壇は
The flower bed was there from
最
the
初からそ
beginning.
こにあった
Repeat what Sarasan had said.
最初は
At first I assumed it
そこには
wasn't
な
there,
かっ
but I
たって
was
思い込ん
wrong.
でたけど 僕
It
の
was just a
脳内で
delusion
の妄
inside
想だ
my
よ
head.
だって
After
みん
all,
なあそ
everyone
こに
said
は
the flower bed
花
was
壇があった
there,
って言
right?
ってるんで力とかそ
It
ういう
wasn't me
わ
using
けのわ
powers
か
or
らないも
anything
のじゃなく
crazy
て
like that.
ただの思
I
い
just
込み
made a
だったん
mistake.
だ
That's all.
いや
No,
君に
I
は
know you have
力が
powers.
そうだろ
And you know it too, don't you?
I don't want to die.
そうだろ
And you know it, don't you?
I
わか
don't
ら
know.
ない
Please don't kill
殺
me.
さないで
君は自
If
分
only you knew
の
how
天
much
才
power
的
you
な
have.
力について
You have a
もっと
gift.
自覚するその潜在
I
能
sense
力
great
は
potential within you.
君なら
You have the
世
power
界
to
を変え
change
る
the
ことだっ
world.
てできる
I wanted to go home. I want to hole up inside my base and play USO forever, glued to the chair for eternity like a disabled person. I wanted to spend my days grinning over Seraton's figure and marathoning Bloodtune on loop. That was all I wished for.
You
Yeah, get out of here. Promise to stay by your side forever. I'm the only one who stands up for ya. So come on, let's just go home already. We'll sever your link to 3D forever and live only for the fun stuff.
さて
No,
前置きを
that's enough
これぐらいにして
introductions. It's time for your quest to begin.
まずは
First, I want you to move to a spot where you can observe the scramble crossing below.
No way! At this rate, he really is gonna kill ya.
聞こえなかった
Did you not hear me?
スクランブル
Move to a
交
spot
差点を
where you can
見下ろ
gaze
すところ
down
へ
at the scramble
移動する
crossing.
んだ
His tone was soft, yet his voice was unbelievably cold. His voice was so sharp, any will I had left to defy him was sapped away. Where are you? My legs were shaking and they refused to move. I wrapped my arms around myself. I had even lost the ability to discern whether I should listen to his order or not.
僕の言うこと
Are you
が
defying
聞けな
me?
い従って
If you
もら
don't
わない
obey me, I
と
can't guarantee
ナナミちゃん
Nanami-chan's
の命は
survival.
保証できない
She's already dead anyway. You'll just end up dying for nothing too if you keep trying to save her.
I want to hear her voice.
声聞か
I
せて
managed to squeeze that out. My voice small as could be. However, Shogun rejected my request in an instant.
その必要は
That
ないよ
won't be happening. You should really consider the position you're in.
今の状況を考えた方がいい
I didn't want to think about Nanami's death. I didn't want to imagine her dying. I was too afraid that if I imagined it, it would become real. In the end, I relented. I started walking to a spot where I could look down at Scramble Crossing like Shogun and ordered me to. I could barely see where I was going. If I wasn't careful, I could easily trip and fall. On the side of the rooftop facing Scramble Crossing, a transparent acrylic plate protruded out and up like a wall. It was about 3 stories high. As I approached the wall, I could hear the tumult of the crossing below. A single woman's voice caught my ear. It seemed like it was coming from the Jumbotron mounted on a neighboring building.
アクリル板の壁
Do
に
you see the broken part of the acrylic plate wall? Where the hole is? I wiped away the cold sweat on my forehead, and then moving only my eyes, I looked toward the wall. Just as Shogun had said, there was a hole where a single person could pass through. It had an unnatural shape to it, like it had been smashed open. It had clearly been destroyed by human hands. Of course, there was nothing beyond the hole. Only a sheer 8-story drop leading straight down to the concrete below.
そこから顔を
Take a
出す
step out there and greet the
下
spectators
にいるギ
below.
ャラリーに挨拶
What are you just...
もう一度言おう
Shall I repeat myself?
そのあなた
I want you to lean out of that
を
hole,
見出して
then greet the
下
people
にいる
below.
人たちに手を振って
Couldn't mean... See, he wants to kill you, Taki. 100%. I gulped. Was this how he got the 5 people to jump off? It really was exactly as Seraton had said. There's no way out of it. I was gonna die. He was gonna make me jump down from here and die.
そうやだ
拒否すれば
If you refuse, then Nami-chan dies.
If you obey him, you die, Taki. What was I supposed to do? I tried to figure out what the best course of action was, but the only things circling my mind were the most negative delusions possible. I was unable to think straight. Somebody, save me. You jerk. I could hear Nanami-chan's voice echoing within my panic-stricken ears. Jerk. Memories of Nanami smiling happily resurfaced in my mind. She looked so carefree. It was all my fault. Nanami had nothing to do with any of this, but because of me, she got kidnapped by Shogun and then he cut off her hand. I'm sorry, Nanami. I'm so sorry. I wiped away my tears, but that didn't stop them.
I wiped once again. Then, with my vision still blurry, I slowly approached the smashed hole. And then, more afraid than I'd ever been before, I looked down. What's going on? Suddenly, a huge cheer akin to the rumbling of the very earth itself came from the people below. A large crowd was gathered in front of the station. The media was there too. They were all there for an event that was about to unfold. Suddenly, a blinding light hit me. I squinted reflexively and looked away. Then, when my eyes landed upon the jumbotron of the closest building, what I saw was unmistakably me. Huh? Me. On the jumbotron was my own face. My own face covered in tears and with my mouth hanging half open like an idiot. My back was hunched too. For a split second I thought I was hallucinating. A chill ran through me, as I thought that someone was secretly recording me somewhere. I then considered if what was being projected there was actually just taken from my thoughts by Shogun. But after exhausting every last possible option, I realized that it had to be a live feed of me. Right this very moment, at this very place. And the video playing on the Jumbotron even had a news sticker featuring sensational taglines. Live from Shibuya Station Plaza, the amazing Esper Boy finally makes his debut. The ticker commenting the situation was situated along the bottom of the screen. The amazing Esper Boy, endorsed by the Psychic of the Century, Yuri Brightman, appears. Don't miss this one. Will he divine the new gen's perpetrator's true identity? After reading it, I finally understood. I finally understood what the media and the spectators in the scramble crossing below were looking at. It was me. Don't look at me. Why were they fixated on me? Esper Boy? What the hell is that all about? I'm scared. This game scares me. Did any of them have any idea what happened today? We got hit by a damn earthquake. Seismic intensity 5-1. Over 100 fucking people died. So why? Why were each and every one of them? Why were they weighing there just to see an otaku freak like me make an ass of myself? Oh. Sound like fans cheering from the bleachers at a soccer game. Or maybe a volleyball game. The entirety of the Dokyans who had gathered in Scramble Crossing had all begun chanting in unison. Or maybe this was planned part of the event. Or maybe Shogun had mind-controlled them into doing it. They all followed the same rhythm as they raised their hands overhead and shouted the same words. They were all insane. I was horrified. The chant wasn't stopping. Amidst their chant, I could hear the high-pitched voices of female Dokyans.
Look over here.
As I listened closely, I noticed the one thing they all had in common. They were all making fun of me. To them, they were just having fun and laughing to their heart's content. Everything was fine as long as they were having fun. A festival dedicated to my sacrifice. A true shit show. All I wanted to do was join in. Make fun of myself the way everyone else was. Every last one of them was a Dokkan. Nobody would be coming to my rescue. Everyone who'd come here wished for my death. Crowd psychology was going to kill me. Not out of hatred or fury, but simply because that was what everyone else wanted to see. No. I don't want to die. I was scared. This close to pissing myself. I never felt so close to death before. I felt like my consciousness was drifting away. And now I was like a child throwing a tantrum. Please. I don't want to go. I started to cry. I hoped that by doing so, Shogun would let me go. I hoped that by doing so, the crowd would maybe start to feel sympathy for me and come save me. I hoped that by doing so, the police would realize I wasn't the culprit, just an innocent otaku freak, and then they would come to save me. I hoped that by doing so, my parents who would be watching TV at home would come and take my place. I hoped that by doing so, Rimi would come rushing in and save me. I hoped that by doing so, I would suddenly wake up and realize it was all a dream. With this myriad of hopes in my mind, I shook my head desperately. And then I cried out my sole wish. I don't want to die. And yet, if you take one more step back, Nanami-chan dies. Shogun's tone hadn't changed at all from before. You're already standing on the stage. This is the perfect place for your awakening, don't you think? Everyone who's gathered here is waiting for you. If you disappoint them, they may turn into an angry mob and chase after you. When he said that, I froze, unable to take a step back nor look behind me.
What are you worrying? He's just trying to scare ya. Namichi's already dead, Taki. Running away right now won't make you a bad person, I promise.
Even if that was true, I want you to focus on the scenery standing before you. Shogun's voice was very calm, which somehow only made him all the more intimidating. I couldn't even find an enemy to say anything back. There is only one task you have to do. No, I can't jump. I'll die. No one said anything about doing that. Huh? Was I wrong? Did that mean I didn't have to die? Without moving an inch from that spot, I want you to find your D-sword for me. Oh. I didn't... Wait. How long has that been there? I see it. Hang on, I see it. It's right there. But how long has that been there? Can I click it? Find my D-sword? How? It's right there. I've been searching for it as hard as I could for a long time, but I never even gotten close. It's completely absurd to think I could suddenly find it here just because he'd ordered me to. A D-sword can be referred to as a delusionary sword. Do you understand that much? No.
Don't let them fool you, Taki. These swords aren't real. A delusion becoming reality is just plain stupid.
Never find one. Before you came here today, you'd already run into several others who have swords. I saw it. Isn't that right? Surely they told you how to get your hands on one. Remember what they said.
This sword is that which bends fate to its will. This sword is that which converges all sorrows. This sword is that which interferes with the transcendental place. It is akin to another space, another possibility within the same dimension, or perhaps a delusion. Stating it that way does not provide much in the way of meaning. The sole thing we need to know for certain, however, is that this sword exists within my region. It was there before I knew it. At first, I did not perceive it. But when I ever so slightly altered my perspective, it all became clearer. Perhaps it is already visible to you, Takumi. You just aren't seeing it.
I saw it just now.
Out the world, study its mechanisms. Is the scenery your eyes perceive truly real? It's possible to turn delusions into reality. Objects that aren't real blend into the scenery around us. In other words, it allows errors to be perceived as real.
It's right there. On the left. It's like a long, thin needle, almost. That's right. You already have a number of hints. It should already be visible to you. Within the scenery that stretches right before your very eyes. So, what he was saying was, Shogun was hiding a D-sword somewhere in the scenery I was looking at, and I just had to find it. If I find it, will you let me go?
見つけるだけ
Finding
じ
it
ゃ
isn't the only thing you have to do to complete the quest. You need to actually grasp the sword.
その場から
Just make sure that you follow the rules. You can't move a single inch from that spot. There's no way I could do that. If I couldn't move from here, how was I supposed to grasp the fucking sword? What the hell did he even want me to do?
I'm telling ya, he asked for the impulse because he wants you dead as a doornail tacky.
それができないんだ
If you're unable to do that, Nami-chan's life will be forfeit.
Let's run home, okay, Taki?
He just said if I move one step from here, Nanami will die.
I told you 1,000 times, she's already long gone.
He said that I could save her.
Are you really believing what he's saying? Maybe he's lying.
I strained my eyes. The bright lights from below made it hard to see much of the scenery at all. The farther away it was, the harder it was to see. It's right there. It's on the left. Right there. I was trying as hard as I could to look around. The scenery I could see from here wasn't all that vast. Most of it was just hidden behind buildings. But I had to find my sword.
Just ain't possible.
What the hell was I supposed to do? I thought about what Ayase and Stan had said once more.
でも
But when I ever so slightly altered my perspective, it all became clear.
本当じゃない
Objects that aren't real blend into the scenery around us. And when I thought about that, for some reason I recalled the pattern of the ceiling in my parents' house. Back when I was a kid, I remember having random thoughts about it before I'd gone to sleep. To me, the grain on the wood of the ceiling had looked somewhat like a face. And once I'd seen it that way, I could no longer see it as anything else. Pareidolia, a type of optical illusion in which the shape of a stain on the wall looks like a human face, the shape of a cloud in the sky looks like an animal, or other similar phenomena. A large majority of spirit photography is simply pareidolia. I don't know how you say it, but... It's right there.
Oh, get real. It says you're always playing tricks on you. Optical illusions and all that stuff. There are all sorts of stuff like that with wood.
She was right. This didn't really compare to wood patterns, did it?
切り取るんだ
Cut it free. Shogun murmured, his tone as detached as ever.
剣が見え
If
た
you can see the sword, all you have to do is cut it free. I know you can do it.
君にはそれができる
Okay, that's still nonsense. He's just saying random stuff.
Why are you so desperate to say no?
妄想は
It's impossible to turn delusions into reality. It's just like that flower bed. Just like when Ayase had divided herself in two. But the last time I tried to materialize a real D-sword, I tried using a delusion on the fake one, but it didn't work. I shook my head once more. It scanned the scenery visible to me from here. It's right there! Right there! I saw a sword. It just quick saved. What? What? Oh god. I saw it. I saw the sword. I saw it. I saw a sword. Yes. I saw it. I distinctly saw a sword. Yes. If I move from here, I can take it. Yes. Wait, no.
君には失望し
I'm going to load. I realized too late what I screwed up on. I'm too scared to see what happens there. I'm a coward. I saw a sword. I distinctly saw a sword. If I move from here, I can take it. No. I can see the sword from other places than here. I don't know. Sure.
君には失望したよ。
And you just die. Got it. Just wanted to confirm. I saw a sword. Yes. I distinctly saw a sword. If I move from here, I can take it. Nope. I can see a sword from other places in here. No. It's not actually a sword. What? Huh? I'm gonna lock this, just to be safe. It's not actually a sword. No, it is a sword.
君には
Damn it. I'm too scared to hit. What am I saying? I have... No. You know what? We'll do it later. We'll do it later. Once we beat the game, we'll come back here at this point. It is a sword. Wait, no, it... I'd seen it. Right there. Within the night landscape blurred by my teary eyes, amid the scenery in which light was warped by my welling tears, I found a spot that looked just like a sword. Just like what Ayase had said. I hadn't noticed it at first, but when I ever so slightly altered my perspective, it was there. Even if it had just been a coincidence, I was more than happy with it. The more I thought of it as a sword, the more defined it became, and over time, it was becoming more and more real. It was slowly turning into a definite part of the scenery. And eventually, even its contours became clearly distinguishable.
見つけたんだ。
You found it, didn't you? Likely having noticed my change in demeanor, Shogun immediately spoke to me.
では、
Now, I want you to reach out your hand and cut the sword free.
深く考え
You
な
don't even have to think very hard about it.
君になら
You can do this.
できるわけない
You can't, and you know it.
ダメ
You can't listen to Taki. If you do that, you're gonna fall. If you fall, you'll die.
I looked down. I saw the crowd filled with countless people. The ambulances still had yet to arrive, just like back at noon. The response time was far, far too slow. Not that it was surprising. This was just how damaging the earthquake this morning had truly been.
切り取るなんて
Can't
で
cut it
きない
free.
よ
How could I?
固定観
Don't
念
let your
にとらわれ
preconceptions restrict you.
最初から
If you
でき
think you
るわけ
can't do
が
it before you even try, you won't be able to.
何もできん常識を捨て
Throw common sense to the
ある
wind
がままを見れ
and
ば
simply see things as they are.
君には力が
Power dwells within you,
世界は
and the world will respond to that power,
あの花壇
just as it did with that flower bed. Could I really do that? If I just reached out, would that sword become mine? If so, then I should at least give it a try. Ayase had said that my D-sword would bring me salvation. Maybe those words were referring to exactly what was happening now. I would have grasped the sword, complete the quest, bring Nanami home safe and sound, and have Shogun leave me alone forever. And then I would return to my peaceful life that I'd been living up till now.
そんなに
Do you really think it'll be that easy?
将軍が
You think that Shogun that will let you go away just like that?
だって
And the guy's serial killer who's already slaughtered 10 people?
なんだよ
10?
What do you... Oh, right. Wait. Huh? Yeah, Even Shogun wouldn't make me do the impossible. I could do it. He wouldn't tell me to do it if I wasn't capable of it.
あいつはタキ
He just wants to kill you, Taki.
忘れたの
Did you forget about the group dive video?
将軍は
Shogun already made 5 folks fall to their death without even touching them, remember?
転落死させたんだよ
I'm sorry, Saratan. I'm already reaching for my salvation. The crowd below started rumbling. Every move was being monitored by the thousands of people packed in front of the station. And it wasn't just them. I was being watched by tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people all over Japan watching live on TV. I started feeling nauseous. Extreme pressure imposed by such a large number of people made my heart feel like it could explode at any second. Just forget about that. If I stayed focused on them, I'd be too nervous to even lift a finger. I needed to focus only on the sword. And as careful to maintain my footing as possible, I reached my hand out. I tried to aim directly at the sword, letting my intuition do the rest. I felt nothing. The wind rushed toward me relentlessly. On top of that, the direction it was coming from was inconsistent. One second it was blowing me from the front, the next it pushed me from the side. I clung to the acrylic plate in an attempt to support myself. It was too slippery to bring me anything more than emotional support. If I let my guard down even slightly, I'd get blown off. Even so, I stood desperately trying to grab the sword. No matter how hard I tried, I didn't succeed.
That's not a goddamn real sword!
Tears welled up once more. My vision blurred, and what had once appeared to be an object similar to a sword began to lose its shape. I quickly wiped my tears away. I had the feeling that once I lost sight of it, it wouldn't ever appear again. In that case, all you need to do is reach out further.
Fuck you! You don't know how this feels! I bent my lip to hold back the tears, leaned forward more than I ever had before, and fished around the open air with my hand. But I still couldn't grasp the sword.
More.
If I fell from here... I looked down once again. I was higher than I thought I was. I felt dizzy, so I pulled back and clung to the acrylic plate once more.
What are you doing? Grab your sword, quickly. Now. If you don't, you won't see Nanami-chan again for a very long time.
I shouldn't have looked down. I couldn't stop shaking. I thought I was going to slip because of it. I was so unbelievably afraid. I can do it. Please, just let me go.
Please. You underestimate my power. I don't plan to cave to some childish tantrum. Grasp your D-sword. If you can't, your sister will die, and you will soon follow. That is all there is to it.
God, I don't want to die. I don't want to die.
I had no choice but to try again. I leaned out through the hole, then extended my arm. I could still feel the sword over there. I tried again and again, but of course nothing happened. It felt like I could reach it, but for some reason I just couldn't. I leaned out even farther. I stretched my hand out as far as I could, reaching out with my entire body to try and grasp the sword. I even straightened out my fingertips. And then, I slowly closed my hand. But just like every time before, I felt nothing. Can't reach it. It was impossible. It was like Seroton had told me it was. There'd never been a way for me to grab that translucent sword. Perspective had made it look like normal size, but when I actually thought about it, I realized how enormous it actually was. It wasn't the size a human could realistically carry. If you grab that sword, the quest will be complete.
Oh, I can't reach it.
Are you willing to let Nanami-chan die?
Oh, just let me go already. I don't want to die.
Think about what happened at Noonstay. With the powers you have within you, even if you fall, the only thing you'll need to do is create yet another flower bond. You may fall, but you won't die.
You sure you can do it?
Right then Seroton's snarky whisper reached my ear. Am I sure I can do it? Do what?
If you fall from here, it'll take you less than 3 seconds to hit the ground. So in that time, you'll have to make another flower bed if you're using with the power of your will. Are you sure you can do something so hard, Taki? You haven't ever used your power on purpose before, ain't that right?
That's true. And even if I did have powers, I had no idea how to use them. I can't remain neutral. I want to believe.
So let's just run away, okay? You're done good, Taki. Anything more is just too much for you. You don't want to die, right?
But Nanami,
Taki, you did good. Now you can live on as the tragic big brother who lost his little sister.
the tragic big brother?
Tell you when you have PTSD and they'll let you off the hook no matter what. You can become the best shonen ever. Oh, then maybe some Biko goody two-shoes with money will need to burn will take pity on you and provide you with everything you need. If you write whatever's on your mind on a blog, maybe you get picked up as a publisher and become a best-selling author. Just slap a review like the book that made all Japan cry in the back, and you'll get hit with a star of rave reviews from naive dumbos who got all their guts in it. Has some mood I've never felt so bad for someone and stuff like that. And then the royalties come flowing in. Then after half a year, they'll make a movie out of it. Doesn't that sound just swell? All you gotta do is let Nanami Ichi die here, and you'll be on your way to a life filled with sunshine and roses. So which will you choose? Will you stay here giving it your all only to die and lose everything? Or will you shoot for the sunshine and roses?
I don't want to die. I don't want to feel pain. I don't want to be dead. I don't want to disappear. Whatever happens to Nanami doesn't affect me. I muttered all that to myself. It was my way of trying to make it sound convincing. The one I should trust, it wasn't Shogun, it was Seraton. That sword, it only looked like a sword. It wasn't a real one, it was just some weird reflection or optical illusion or something.
I got it. Come on, you ready to head home? Let's see, home yet? Nope.
I'll go home.
Nope.
That alone, I slowly withdrew my outstretched hand. That alone made me feel much more at ease. I took Seraton out of my chest pocket and gazed at her smile. No, I can't. This isn't what I was hoping for. This isn't what I wanted. I refuse. We'll see this later anyways. I'm gonna try and do a bunch of stuff. Bread. But Nanami...
Okay, let me just come out and say it. Who cares if Nanamichi bites the dust?
Huh?
Taki, do you really value her life more than your own?
Well, Nanami's my precious little sister, so...
When you get down to it, she's just some rando, ain't she? It'll be sad when she dies, but that's about it. Would you really be left her in forever, Taki?
No.
This is more important. Your life or someone else's? If you die, it's all over, you know? The world ends. The world ends when you do, Taki. Make sense? There's nothing after you die. There's no afterlife. The only thing that'll happen is that when the being knows Taki stops breathing, he won't be able to observe the world no more. And that means the end of the world, right? So what I'm trying to say is, if you die, Taki, the Nanamichi that you were observing will disappear anyway. And not only will Nanamichi eat, but also Rimichi, Ayasechi, even me. Everyone will disappear. But if Nanamichi dies instead, you won't disappear, Taki, nor will your world. There'll be a world where you'll be able to watch the latest episode of Bloodtoon, play the games that's releasing next year, and buy my new figures. So Taki, you really want to die? Or do you want to live?
I guess there's only one other thing we can do. I was hoping that either of them would work, but... No delusion. In the end, I kinda did just go back to what I normally do. I really did just go back, didn't I? But Nanami...
Whatever happens to your bright little sister we're talking about here? Even if you try as hard as you can't save her, do you really think she'll be grateful for it?
Seroton's got straight to the point, and it caught me off guard. It was true that even if I saved her life, Nanami would probably say something like,
Why do I care if you save me? It's all your fault I got into this, you big jerk.
she wouldn't even thank me. Instead, she'd insult me. I'd have to bear living with a family that would despise me for the rest of my life. At the end of the day, no matter what I could say about her, Nanami was still just some 3D little sister. She didn't make me my over her, and she didn't have the pure heart of a Tootie. She's always looking down on me, and she secretly, no, not very secretly, made fun of me whenever she could. What happens with my bright bitch of a sister was none of my business. Seroton was one thing, but the shit-tier little sister wasn't worth betting my life on.
Just think about yourself right now, okay? I don't want to see you dead, Taki. I just want to talk with you inside your head, just the two of us, forever and always.
Same. I also felt the most comfortable in talking to Seroton. I didn't give a shit about Nanami. I don't want to die. I don't want to feel pain. I don't want to be dead. I don't want to disappear. So no matter what, it always ends up here. What happens to Nanami doesn't affect me. I mirrored all of that to myself. That's my way of trying to make it sound convincing. The one I should trust. It wasn't Shogun, it was Seroton. A sword. It only looked like a sword. It wasn't a real one. It was just some weird reflection or optical illusion or something.
Are you at home?
Nope. Slowly withdrew my outstretched hand. That alone made me feel much more at ease. I took Seroton out of my chest puck and gazed at her smile. As long as I had her forgiveness, I didn't need anything else. I sniffled, sucking up the snow that had been dripping from my nose. I then turned around and started walking towards Shogun. Who gave you permission to move from that spot? You still haven't completed the quest. I'm not a hero. I'm not anything like one. A weak, pathetic, useless sack of shit. An otaku freak who can't even save his only sister. Just don't expect anything from me. Don't look at me. Just leave me alone. If that's your decision, then I will kill Nanami-chan. Whatever. She's already dead anyway. She was already dead. Nanami had been brutally murdered by Shogun. Everyone will report on it starting tomorrow, treating it as a 6th new gen incident. It saddened me, but there was nothing I could do about it. Huh?
Big bro. Big bro.
I heard a sound of dripping water. No, it wasn't water. It was blood. Nanami's blood. Dark red blood dripped from the wrists where her hand had been severed.
Why didn't you come save me? Big bro. You're the worst thing that ever happened to me.
I screamed my guts out. How dare you! I will turn crimson. My anger, my sadness, and my shame were ripping my head apart. My thoughts were a chaotic mess. Without any rhyme or reason, I charged towards Shogun. I made a grab him within his hiding place within the shadows. But I didn't get the physical response I expected. I collapsed along with the wheelchair. It must have hurt my elbow as pain was shooting through it. Grimacing, I searched for the person who should have been sitting on the wheelchair. At my feet, a head tumbled down across the ground. Terrified, I slowly reached out my hand, and what I felt was extremely hard. Rather than a freshly severed head, it was very clearly a helmet.
これ
What? A pitch black helmet. What? Darth Spider. Nice. Nice. Nice copyright prevention. Chapter 6. Noah. Chapter 7. Psychopath. Well, I kind of went a little over time because of getting caught up into it, but hey, at least meant we finished the chapter. So we're going to go ahead and end it here for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and hope to see you all next time. Peace.